Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm really sorry for the bad lighting, but I literally waited till the last minute to film this and it's pouring rain outside and I have absolutely no natural light. But it's perfectly fine because this video is going to be mostly talking anyways, so you don't even really have to look at the screen if you don't even want to. So I've been watching a lot of videos recently about people's rating systems and the way that they annotate their books. And I think it's so interesting that everybody has these different ways of doing things and these different systems. So I thought I would make my own video to kind of add to the pool of different systems of ratings and annotations. But I also wanted to make this video because it's still pretty early in my channel. I want to make this early on so that in like, I don't know, a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever, I can look back on it and see if my systems have changed. Also, sorry if the camera angle keeps changing. My cat has decided that she wants attention right now, and the way she gets attention is by headbutting my camera. Such a cutie. So I'm gonna start with my rating system. My rating system is a little convoluted, honestly. I rate on a normal 1 to 5 stars. If I don't finish the book, then I don't rate it. I feel like a DNF is a rating in its own. So anyways, a rating 1 through 5 stars. I do half stars, but only usually when it gets to around 3 and 4. I don't usually do like 2.5 stars because I feel like at that point it's a little redundant. So usually if I feel like I'm about to give a book a 1-star review, I'll just DNF it because there's so many books in this world. I don't have time to be reading 1-star books. However, some of you may know this, some of you may not. For my 9 to 5, I am an audiobook proofreader. And so I have to read books that I don't choose. And even if I'm giving a book a 1-star, I have to keep reading it. My 1 stars are usually ones that are offensive, ones that physically hurt to keep reading. That's like such a weird kind of concept. Like reading books is all mental, but something that physically hurts to keep reading. Like, you know those ones where you just want to like throw the book across the room, but you can't because you have to keep reading it for school, for work, whatever. Like, those are my 1 stars. I don't usually give 1-star reviews that often. Like, in all of my years of reading, I've probably like a handful of 1-star reviews. 2-star reviews, on the other hand, I give out very liberally. 2-star reviews are ones where the grammar is all over the place. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, like bad grammar in a book. That really bothers me. So, bad grammar, really annoying characters. Like, I mean really annoying. Like the type of people that, like, if you were to meet them in real life, you would just be frustrated talking to them. And like major plot holes, inconsistencies, things that just didn't make any sense. Usually for my 2 stars, I'm not giving it to genres that I didn't enjoy. So if I picked up a shifter book and it has all of these issues, then it's getting a 2-star. But if I pick up the history of submarines in World War I and I hated it, I'm not gonna give it a 2-star. I'm gonna try to read it a little bit more objectively because that's not the genre that I usually gravitate towards. So it's not fair for me to give it a 2-star. You know what I mean? So for my upper ratings, my 3s, 3.5s, 4s, 4.5s, 5s, these are very fluid. The reasons why I rate books these star ratings, it changes all the time and it changes who I'm giving the rating to. If a book is like 3.5 stars to me, then that's because that's how I feel about it emotionally. But if I'm recommending this book to another person, I'm going to take their perspectives into account and I'm going to rate it based off of how I think they would enjoy it. So just to go from this point, I'm going to purely do it if I was rating it for myself, not putting on a Goodreads, only putting it in my bullet journal. So for 3 stars, I find this to be midpoint average. These are the books that might have some grammar errors but aren't very distracting. The characters kind of flat, a little bit annoying, not perfect, amazing characters. They're kind of books that I had a fun time reading it, but I probably wouldn't continue the series if it is a series, and I definitely wouldn't reread it. So for my 4 stars, this is kind of builds off of my 3 stars. So for 4-star, it's like a fun time, like amazing, really enjoyed it, would reread it, probably would continue the series. This is what I would expect other people's 5 stars to be. I'm rating it 4 because I reserve my 5 stars for other reasons. So for like my 3.5, I feel like those would be books that I like really enjoyed reading and like have somewhat emotional attachments to it, but it still has those issues that make it a 3-star. But the story is just more compelling, so I want to give it a 4-star, but I can't, so I put it right in the middle of my 3.5 stars. So for my 5 stars, this is a purely emotional rating. These are books that have surpassed the 4-star mark. They're amazing, incredible, would recommend, would reread, would continue the series. In addition to, I think about these books often. This is also kind of in my 0.5 ratings, where if it's like a 3 and it's super average, but I keep thinking about it, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. So for my 5s, those are my elevated 4s. They're super interesting, super good, but I continue to think about it, and these are books that I would gravitate to, and they become my comfort books. So now moving on to my annotation system. I'm gonna rewind all the way back to 6th grade. I wasn't really a big reader. Like, I didn't really enjoy reading. And then I picked up books that I enjoyed reading. I picked up Marked by, I think it's PC Cast. It's a vampire high school kind of book. I picked up Twilight. We all know Twilight. I picked up Harry Potter, and I started to realize what it was to enjoy reading. Also, so, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, a lot of these books I had were borrowed. The Harry Potter book was mine, but as we got further into the series, like books 2 and up, they were the family's books, so they weren't mine. I was told, respect these books. These books are not yours. These are books that a lot of people are using, so respect them. Don't mark them, don't fold the pages. Make it so it looks exactly how it was when you started reading it. And then we got into high school, and I was having a hard time with comprehension in like my history classes. One of my English teachers, actually the most amazing English teacher that exists, she actually helped me by showing me how to underline in the history textbooks so that I can read actively and I can understand the main points of what's happening, and it helped with retention so much. I was learning that marking up books wasn't that serious. Especially if I'm just underlining in pencil. But still, the only books that I would mark up were textbooks. My actual reading books were still books borrowed from the library, family books, and ones that weren't mine. Then we move up to college. I'm kind of viewing the novels that I have to read, because I was an English major and I had to read tons of novels. I read probably like 30 novels my whole college career, maybe more. So I was learning that these novels are my textbooks, and the best way I knew how to read and comprehend was to underline these textbooks, novels. I would underline in pencil and I would flag them up. I actually have an example from college. This was from my senior year, Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. I tabbed it and I underlined it. So you can have like typical underlinings here. And then I was kind of realizing I could do more. I could write little notes in here. So I have little notes. What does it say? Oh, yeah, so I have like little notes in here. I'm pretty sure I color coded with the pink and the orange. I don't remember what the color coding was. This was 3 years ago at this point. I did I'm pretty sure I matched the colors to kind of match the cover. So that is something that I do. This was my tool for writing essays. So I wrote my notes in the books. There's other books that I wrote more in, but I can't find them right now. I've graduated college. I've marked up my college textbook novels. And now the only reading I do is for fun. I took a couple years off from seriously reading and from annotating those books. If I was reading a book, I wasn't annotating it because I didn't really know how to or why I would want to annotate it outside of school. Well, then I was on TikTok one day and I saw these TikToks for We Were Liars, and I decided to make a video on it. When I was reading it, I tabbed it all up. I didn't write in it. So anyways, I color-coded different moments that would mean different things so that I knew what I could talk about in the video that I was making. And then I had a reason for annotating again. And then I found myself annotating books outside of making videos. So then we have this book, Life as We Knew It. I tabbed this all up. And I was reading it just for a 24-hour readathon. I wasn't going to do anything more on it until I remembered how much I loved it. So there are parts of it where I would tab it, underline, and I would do some highlights. I've built up to the part where I use tabs, I underline, and I highlight. I don't annotate every single one of my books. Some of them, this is Gone Girl, I just read it and I just enjoy it. Usually books that I'm not tabbing and I'm not annotating are books that I am reading very, very quickly. I was just like, it's very hard to remember to stop and underline and put tabs in when you're going at that pace. Books that I want to tab and remember are books that I'm having a personal experience with. Books that I'm tabbing and stuff are usually 5-star, I'm gonna remember this kind of book. At least ones that I've done this in depth with the highlighting and the underlining. Regular tabs could be, this was a 3-star, so like, it really depends on what you're doing. Annotating is really not for everybody, so if you're not vibing with it, you don't have to do it. Like, don't feel pressured by people you see on BookTube who annotate all their books. Like, don't feel pressured to do it if that's not how you are. Like, it took me a while to get up to this point to tabbing, and there's still further that I want to go with it. Like, I want to have different colored pens that I annotate with, but I'm just not there yet. And that's fine, because everybody does things at their own pace. Do what you're comfortable with, you know? So that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.